We do not know what we want, and yet we are responsible for what we are. That is the fact. Everything has been figured out, except how to live. When the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. You are your life, and nothing else. We are our choices. If you're lonely when you're alone, you're in bad company. Once you hear the details of victory, it is hard to distinguish it from a defeat. Man is condemned to be free because, once thrown into the world, he is responsible for everything he does. It is up to you to give life a meaning. Do you think that I count the days? There is only one day left, always starting over. It is given to us at dawn and taken away from us at dusk. Words are loaded pistols. Every word has consequences, every silence too. Every existing thing is born without reason, prolongs itself out of weakness, and dies by chance. Hell is other people. Existence precedes and rules essence. For an occurrence to become an adventure, it is necessary and sufficient for one to recount it. Being is. Being is in itself. Being is what it is. The best work is not what is most difficult for you. It is what you do best. It is only in our decisions that we are important. A lost battle is a battle one thinks one has lost. You must be afraid, my son. That is how one becomes an honest citizen. We do not judge the people we love. Better to have beasts that let themselves be killed than men who run away. The poor don't know that their function in life is to exercise our generosity. Politics is a science. You can demonstrate that you are right and that others are wrong. Commitment is an act, not a word. Man is fully responsible for his nature and his choices. All human actions are equivalent and all are on principle doomed to failure. Evil is the product of the ability of humans to make abstract that which is concrete. Before you come alive, life is nothing. It's up to you to give it a meaning, and value is nothing else but the meaning that you choose. Existence is an imperfection. What is meant here by saying that existence precedes essence? It means, first of all, man exists, turns up, appears on the scene, and only afterwards defines himself. Smooth and smiling faces everywhere, but room in their eyes. Only the guy who isn't rowing has time to rock the boat. Man is what he wills himself to be. Nothingness haunts being. The individual's duty is to do what he wants to do, to think whatever he likes, to be accountable to no one but himself, to challenge every idea and every person. Your judgment judges you and defines you. Perhaps it's inevitable. Perhaps one has to choose between being nothing at all and impersonating what one is. We only become what we are by the radical and deep-seated refusal of that which others have made of us. What is important is not what happens to us, but how we respond to what happens to us. You continually force the truth because you're always looking for something. Life has no meaning the moment you lose the illusion of being eternal. Now, I know things are entirely what they appear to be, and behind them, there is nothing. To know what life is worth, you have to risk it once in a while. Life is a useless passion. Something is beginning in order to end. Adventure does not let itself be drawn out. It only makes sense when dead. 3 o'clock is always too late or too early for anything you want to do. Life begins on the other side of despair. The worst part about being lied to is knowing you weren't worth the truth. One could only damage oneself through the harm one did to others. One could never get directly at oneself. Man is not the sum of what he has already, but rather the sum of what he does not yet have, of what he could have. That's what existence means, draining one's own self dry without the sense of thirst. Emotion is first of all and in principle an accident. We must act out our passion before we can feel it. Better to die on one's feet than to live on one's knees. It is certain that we cannot escape anguish, for we are anguish. I never could bear the idea of anyone expecting something from me. It always made me want to do just the opposite. Better a good journalist than a poor assassin. Freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. Once freedom lights its beacon in man's heart, the gods are powerless against him. I can always choose, but I ought to know that if I do not choose, I'm still choosing. It isn't freedom from, it's freedom to. You have to talk to make sure you're alive. Fascism is not defined by the number of its victims, but by the way it kills them. I hate victims who respect their executioners. That God does not exist, I cannot deny. That my whole being cries out for God, I cannot forget. One cannot become a saint when one works 16 hours a day. All men are prophets, or else God does not exist. There is no human nature, since there is no God to conceive it. I have no need for good souls. An accomplice is what I wanted. We are in hell, my dear. There is never a mistake, and people are not damned for nothing. I do not believe in God. His existence has been disproved by science, but in the concentration camp, I learned to believe in men. What do I care about Jupiter? Justice is a human issue, and I do not need a God to teach it to me. God is absence. God is the solitude of man. One always dies too soon or too late, and yet one's whole life is complete at that moment, with a line drawn neatly under it, ready for the summing up. I was on the way for eternity. I said to myself, I want to die decently. Death is a continuation of my life without me. He is always becoming, and if it were not for the contingency of death, he would never end. I think of death only with tranquility as an end. I refuse to let death hamper life. Death must enter life only to define it. I am alone in this white, garden-rimmed street, alone and free, but this freedom is rather like death. There may be more beautiful times, but this one is ours. In love, one and one are one. Wisdom Academy is a free platform. You can help keep it alive by subscribing, liking this video right now, and sharing it with your friends. Thank you for your support, and see you in our next video.